Tate Errand,
Bryan, why?
welcome to our podcast.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, man. Welcome to 2025. Dude, I just want to take a moment to reflect on the fact that we really started this back in 2021, you and I together. Or 2020 even, I think.
Yeah.
The specifically the men's work I'm talking about, like leading men in this with our
I
year-long
was like,
elevator.
which thing are you talking about? We've started a lot of things.
40 years ago, we started a
That's
friendship,
right.
and but no, man, it's like we're in our 5th year now
Yeah.
of this work, brother. So congratulations, man.
Thank you.
You're
Right back
welcome.
at you. And we've got a really special episode today because I think we've nibbled around the edges at times talking about our work. We've talked about various programs that we do. But I'm not sure that we've ever had an episode that is 100% oriented to the year-long experience that we do together.
Yeah. So if you're listening, just know this right up front. This episode is for men who are genuinely considering doing deep transformational work. Of course, if you're a woman listening, please listen too. I mean, I'd love for you to know what we do here, specifically in regard to this men's work. And maybe you're partnered with a man, send this episode to him. But this is for men who are considering doing deep transformational work, and who may be on the fence about really moving forward in a powerful way around how to do that, or maybe they just don't know how to do that. So we're going to lean into that in this next these next few minutes. This next, hopefully, I don't know how long this podcast will be. Tate and I, one thing that we know for sure is we always talk way more than we think we're going to talk.
Fact. So look, if you're a guy that's listening to this podcast and you know you want to elevate the next year of your life, and you might be having a question in your mind about whether or not you have the skills and the support that you need in order for you to have to come to life those things that you're wanting to elevate this year, we're talking to you.
Yeah.
Because in years past, what we want to do, we've had 40 men come through our year-long program. We've had 5 men register for this year. So we have only 5 slots remaining for an entire year-long program. And the last day to send in an application is January 24th. We will fill and close the program by then. And just to give you a glimpse, Bryan, let's talk about kind of the who are the kinds of men who have joined this work, who have dove in. I mean, we've had F-15 fighter pilots. We've had entrepreneurs left and right. I mean, incredible artists.
Yeah, really men all over the spectrum in terms of, profession and career, and we've had artists. I mean, world class though. I mean, I think, was it 2 years ago, we had a world class painter who did that huge mural on that building up in Detroit.
Yeah,
incredible mural. Yep. An old friend of mine who's an F-15 pilot, now flies for United Airlines. We have I think this last year we had a spine surgeon, very successful spine surgeon, a man, I think he was just turning 60 even. I mean, we've even age-wise, right? Men from
35, I guess, is
probably, even early 30s. I think we had the music music manager who used to manage some big bands out in LA, early 30s, to men in their early mid 60s.
Yeah.
Right. It's really, men that are on this precipice, on the threshold, that are really wanting to do deep transformational work. They're ready for it. Don't necessarily know how. They just know that this is the time in their life when they're doing it. And so,
and in general, like, what have men come for? Who are the men that actually take the action of doing this kind of work? We have guys that have spent their entire lives and never found a group of men that to live life with, that they've never known the experience of having men have their back. I heard this recently, and I think it really rings true, that as men, it's not that we don't know that we have people, it's we wonder who has us.
Yeah.
So these are men joining an experience like that to experience for the very first time, to be surrounded by a group of men that not only you have their back, but you know that they have yours.
Yeah. I remember asking a guy this not long ago, saying, who do you have that you can call in an emergency? He's like, oh, I got people. All right. Well,
Yeah,
when was the last time you actually called one of them?
exactly.
He couldn't remember.
Exactly. Exactly.
Could not
Yeah.
remember. And, good on him that he hasn't had any huge emergencies. And yet, man, if you're living your life, just how, I mean, the burdens that we men carry, if
Yeah.
we are showing up for our lives in any meaningful way,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
burdens that we are going to carry, the struggles and challenges, the things that they may not be literal house on fire, but we got metaphorical rooms in our own house on fire.
Yeah. Well, and I was laughing as you're telling that story because over the holidays, I was at kind of a neighborhood gathering, a bunch of neighbors, good guys. And I was having this conversation with them about how we men don't really reach out to people.
Mm,
And one of the guys, it was four of us standing there. One of the guys was like, "Oh man, I see. I don't feel like that. I feel like I got great friends. Like I could call you and I could call you."
uh-huh,
And the other guy, I won't give away any names, it really, I was
uh-huh.
really so impressed in this moment because he piped in and said, actually, you say you have me, but I heard that you just went through this really bad thing and you didn't tell us about it until
Mm,
after you were through it.
yeah,
And isn't that really what we have? We might have guys that we get to, and so I was really proud of him for stepping in. And
yeah,
what we need as men is to be respectfully challenged at times. And that was this guy respectfully challenging him to say,
yeah,
wait a minute, do you really have those people? Because you only told them
yeah,
after the effect. And what good is it to talk to your people after you've already been through it?
yeah. Oh man, I
Right.
mean that lands for me, man. That's a practice I've had to learn to come out of, because I've just, and I think a lot of us men, we learn that we have to be self-sufficient,
Yeah.
in a sense that we don't get to rely on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to develop self-sufficiency. I mean, every adult on some level should figure out how to take care of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not really what we're pointing at. It's
Yeah.
like, well, beyond that,
Yeah.
when we're carrying our burdens alone and not allowing anyone in to really see what's going on for us, man, the ripple effect of that,
Yeah.
the effect that has on our nervous
Yeah.
systems,
Yeah.
the way we shut down emotionally, we shut down in our bodies, and the ripple effects, our kids pick up on that, our spouses definitely pick up on that.
Yeah.
um, we're not really giving the best of ourselves
Yeah.
to the world around us. So
So if you're a man
yeah.
who knows that your life would be deeply served by you surrounding yourself with other very successful men that are up to something in life, like this is a program that you might want to think about taking action on.
So who are we really talking to? And have we said that multiple times already? Have we covered
Well,
that
we're
one?
just trying to, for some guys, like one of the reasons why men are so drawn to you, women are so drawn to you is because you've
Mm,
been, really gifted in supporting men and women in the relationship space.
yeah,
Right. So a lot of men reach out
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're looking to get out of the resentment, the conflict, the roommate syndrome that they find themselves in.
yeah,
And they know it's possible for them to have a thriving relationship, or at least they want to still believe
yeah.
that it's possible.
They may not actually
They
know it's
may not,
possible. They
but
may not
there's
believe.
something,
Yeah,
maybe it's their partner that's tapping them on the shoulder to saying, I, it is possible and you have to
right.
do some work to do it. Or they heard of a friend of a friend of a friend that has a great relationship and they're looking to figure out how to do it themselves. Like,
Well, we're gonna talk about the 5 stages of change here in a moment. So you kind of, as you're listening to this,
yeah,
you can kind of locate where you might be in these 5 stages. But take what you're really pointing at is, like, in the relationship world, a lot of men come to my work because they're finally conscious that they're dissatisfied,
yeah, that's
that
right.
something has to change,
Yeah,
something has to shift.
yeah,
They're at a threshold moment.
yeah,
And
exactly.
so, what, probably, like, I mean, man, a good half of the men that tend to come to this work come here with my book in hand, choose
Yeah,
her every day or leave her, that they either
yeah,
bought themselves or their wives bought and they started
yeah,
reading.
Yeah. So look, you might be wanting to surround yourself with other men that are up to something. You might want to be leaning in and improving your relationship this year. Some of the guys who show up know that they want to be showing up for their kids as the fathers that their kids need them to be, want them to be, but they haven't necessarily had a trustable elder in front of them. And so they're winging it and doing the best that they can to be good fathers, but they know that there's something missing in the ways that they're showing up for their kids, in the conversations that they're having with them, the connections that they're having with them. Like that tends to be another solid group of men that show up here, is they want to be great fathers and they don't exactly know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I would say that, the fourth, and some guys are various levels of all of these things. They have found life success. They got the house, the car, the boat, the kids, the wife, all the things that they thought that they wanted and needed, but there is still something that has them feel less than fully fulfilled.
And I think this can be one of the greatest crises that a man ever faces,
Yeah.
because throughout a lot of our youth, by which I mean our 20s, 30s, even for a lot of guys, our 40s, where the ambition distracts us. We're driven by the ambition that has our focus and attention. We're achieving, we're succeeding, we're striving, and that has a certain excitement to it, that has a certain joy to it, even in the amidst moments of terror
Mm-hmm.
and pain and challenge, all of that.
Yeah.
But once we then climb that mountain, and maybe we've climbed multiple mountains, but we get to a certain point in our lives where we sort of realize, okay, man, I've climbed the mountains that I really wanted to climb.
Right.
Now
Now
fucking
what?
what?
Now what?
How, I went through this crisis myself. Started, I mean, what, like 5, 6 years ago, where I realized, holy shit, man, I got everything that I ever wanted. Now what? How do I'd been living in what I like to say, I've been living in the longing for so long.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know how to really be in the
Yeah.
enjoying what I have.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's another man that we're speaking to today, who shows up, who decides to step into this kind of work. So,
Yeah.
but let's talk, Tate. Let's dive into the
Yeah.
5 stages of change. I think this
Yeah.
is going to be really interesting.
Yeah. So look, if you're a guy that's looking to elevate the next year of your life, there is a process that you're going to have to go through in order for you to actually deliver on your desire, right? One of the things that we know for New Year's resolutions these days is that only 40% of people are establishing New Year's resolutions. So 60% of people are not. And I believe that the people that aren't establishing New Year's resolutions are people that have tried and failed in the past and have given up on even setting the goals, because the people who do set New Year's resolutions, only 7% of people achieve that.
Mm.
And what's fascinating to me is that if you're a guy that's on this moment where you want to elevate something, the very first thing that has to be in existence for you is for you to be satiated, right? Like, think about my favorite meal in the world is a ribeye steak. And if you told me that I was going to have a ribeye steak tonight, I'd be thrilled.
Mm.
But if you then, after I ate that meal, you told me I was now going to have a ribeye steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 365 days,
Jesus,
I, first of all, I'd be sick
you'd
in
be
no
dead.
time.
You'd actually be dead.
I'd probably be dead. But after about a week, I'd be satiated. I'd be
Uh-huh.
finished. It's not that I would hate it, but I'd be like, I'm give me some saltine crackers.
Mhm.
So it's not that you have to necessarily have a bad life, but you need to be satiated with the life that you have. But being satiated isn't enough for you to have a transformative experience in your life.
Well, and let's just stay here for a moment too, because you and I, we work with with similar but also slightly different models of change, and because I find this interesting, the satiated, I really get that being full of what I already have is it can be a necessary stage before going into the next stage.
Yeah.
But see, what I've lived a lot of my life and the path that I've taken is actually my life felt I was always hungry for more. I
Yeah.
was actually the opposite of satiated. I
You were
was
starving.
starving.
You're right. Yeah.
I was often
Yeah.
starving.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other side of satiation
Mm,
is the man who is in some way starving. But the interesting thing about that is I never knew how to fill myself.
mm. Yeah.
It's almost the opposite crisis.
Yeah.
It's not that
Yeah. I love that.
it's not that I was satiated and therefore kind of bored with what I had, or just wasn't, scratching the same itches. I did not know how to fucking not be hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really powerful. I love that. So I'm going to amend my model, but you're either in satiation, which is you're full,
You're
or you're
starving.
starving and you're desiring more.
Yeah.
And that should lead you to the second stage that
Yeah.
you have to go through. And that is, you have to land at a place of where you're actually dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Right? Either you're dissatisfied by the fact that you're starving and you no longer want to starve, or you're dissatisfied with
Right.
what you've built. And it's not that what you've built is bad, but that you're tired of it, and there's something that that you're dissatisfied about just keeping doing what you've been doing.
You're right. And maybe it's not that it's not that it's bad what you've built, but maybe it isn't what you want anymore.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
might be what you don't want anymore. Maybe it's the
Yeah.
job. I don't want to, read too much into it, but dissatisfaction simply means what I have been experiencing for all of this time, I am no longer willing to keep experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that will then lead us. I mean, one of the things that I always feel so profoundly grateful and honored and humbled, because I know that if I get on a phone call with somebody who's exploring our program, I know that they have reached the third stage of transformation, the third stage of change, which is that they are now at a threshold moment.
Mm.
They're standing at the precipice of something. And while they're standing at that threshold, there's one of two things that they're going to either do. The first is to stay on this side of the threshold, which is to continue living in a world where they're either satiated and starving and dissatisfied.
Mm.
Or on the other side of the threshold is the fourth thing, which is uncertainty. That they're going to have to step through a threshold into the world of uncertainty, which is that there are no guarantees, that there's no, I don't know what you're going to face. You don't know what challenges that they're going to be. You don't know what difficulties they're going to be, but there is going to be this uncertainty that men have to be willing to peer into the threshold and be willing to step into, or they are going to go right back into being dissatisfied.
Yeah. And in that threshold moment, and by the way, just filling out, going to our landing page, for example, here's the website for Elevate 2025. It's bryanreeves.com/elevate. Bryan with a Y, reeves.com/elevate. Okay. We have a lot of people go visit that website every day. I mean, we do.
Yeah, we do.
How many actually fill out applications?
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
this is akin to stepping up to a threshold and to
Eh,
say, yeah, I'm comfortable in
I
my
don't know.
detachment.
I don't want to have to fill out an application. I don't want to I don't want to talk to
That's
anybody
gonna
about
take
what's
10
going on.
minutes. Oh my God, I don't have 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Or I
yeah,
don't want to, who's going to see this, right? I think that's one that sometimes come up. Like, who's going to see these answers? Because we
yeah,
ask some real questions in that
yeah,
application. Like
yeah,
we really invite you to be transparent
yeah,
and be vulnerable and be
yeah,
real. This is the beginning.
yeah,
That is the beginning of stepping across the threshold. Because
yeah,
in that threshold is where resistance
yeah,
lives.
yeah, yeah,
Resistance, all of the strategies and techniques and tactics that your ego, your defenses will use to prevent you from change.
yeah, yeah. And as we're sitting on this conversation of uncertainty, this threshold moment and uncertainty, it reminds me of actually, Bryan. I don't even know if I told you this, but many years ago, when you called and invited me to come work with your family, and I was living in Charlotte, and
Yeah.
I kind of put out to the universe, like, I want to live in Charlotte, and the universe is going to have to make it abundantly clear
Mm,
that I should move to Miami. I happened upon this article by Sting, and it was entitled "Let Your Soul Be Your Bookie."
mm,
And this is an article that he writes about how he's been revered as this huge risk taker his whole life. And find the article. It was,
mm,
one of the pivotal things in my life that I read. And one of his reflections was that he never felt like he was a risk taker, because he always felt like he was faced with two choices in life. One was a dead end for him to continue banging his head up against, and the other was a cliff for him to jump off of. And for Sting, he always felt like the greater risk was not jumping off the cliff. It was to continue banging his head up against the wall.
Yeah.
So this threshold and willingness to step into uncertainty. And as Sting was standing on the cliff, as you're standing on a cliff about whether or not you should take the next step into this, know that the fifth thing that is necessary in order for us to change our lives is action. Massive action, new action. Because if we're going to have something that we've never had before in our life, we're going to oftentimes have to do something that we've never done before. And for you listening to this, it might be, I'm going to at least go to this website and check it out. That's at least an action for you to decide whether or not that's something for you to do. And look, you might be led on a journey to go do different things. That's fine. But satiation, dissatisfaction, threshold, uncertainty, and massive new action, those are the 5 things that you're going to have to do in your life if you want 2025 to be elevated in ways that other years haven't been.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I just reflect on over the years, we've had hundreds of applications to this program over the years, and each year we only accept in 10 men. Now, sometimes we'll make invitations to men that then back away from the threshold. Sometimes for some of those men, it's been to go do psychotherapy, right, or do some other thing. And I'm thrilled when a man has a plan of action, and whether it's with us or down some other path. I'm thrilled. Sometimes we'll hear from some of those men years later, and they had an amazing experience. It was the right path for them.
Yeah.
The ones that break my heart the most are the ones who backed away from the threshold because of just plain old resistance.
Yeah.
The old strategies, and again, I don't fault anyone. It's not a criticism. Everyone experiences it. I experience it. It's funny. Every time I've been doing men's work for many years, and I've been to countless men's groups, actual, men's groups meetings, and probably 99.9% of the time, I don't want to go. I don't want to show up.
I never want to show up.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, me neither.
And 100% of the time, I'm always glad that I went.
Me too.
Right. So it's like resistance it's just so human. Yeah. But it really breaks my heart when a man backs away from it for resistance, and we hear a year or two later that nothing's changed. And not only has nothing changed, but things have gotten worse.
Yeah. And if you're a guy, we've just shared a whole lot about kind of who's this for and who are the kinds of people that look into it and what's necessary in order for you to change. I mean, we think it's probably helpful for you to know, what is it in fact that we do? Like, what we spend an entire year together. There's all kinds of details that we won't go into those at this moment for fear of having this be another long podcast. But what are we going to do in Elevate 2025? I would even say it this way. We have 4 promises that we can deliver for you right now about what we are going to do as a part of that experience. It's something that you should know. And the very first thing that we're going to do, that our promise to you, is that we're going to help you identify 3 areas of your life that you want to elevate. So often, I think the beginning of transformation does begin when men are able to identify what they want and what they need in their life. I think so often as men, we're spending so much time and energy just trying to meet the needs and desires of our wives, of our kids, of our jobs, of our employees, of the world around us.
Just surviving our lives.
Just to survive our life and help other people survive their lives, because we're so performance oriented. But what we're committed to doing is helping you identify 3 areas of your life that you want to elevate, that you want to take to the next level, that you want to come to life more fully. So that's our promise, is that you're going to get clear about what matters to you most and what you want to elevate.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be clear, like deep, deep soul clarity.
That's right.
I mean, through all of the work that we're doing, we're going to do 1,000 different things over the course of a year, including meet in person for a 5-day retreat
Yeah.
halfway through, which
Yeah.
is just profound and rich and confronting. Make no mistake, this work is confronting, but
Yeah.
that's at the end of the day, I elevating your life in the ways that are most meaningful to you is the game we're up to.
Well, and you know, we were clever in naming the program Elevate, because what dude doesn't want to elevate their life?
Right.
But to the point around confronting things, we also are fully aware that if we're going to elevate, we first must descend. So we do dissension work.
Like into the shadow, into the underground, into
That's right.
the heavy stuff that we aren't looking at, the grief, the losses, the wounds of our childhood. And I don't care who you are, every motherfucker has wounds of childhood.
And so, and we know that we need to hold both of those things, the things you
Right.
want to elevate and the things that you know you must descend into in order for you to be able to truly do that.
To let them go so we can
And
move on.
and the second promise to you is that as you identify the 3 areas of your life that you want to elevate, we're going to ask you this really poignant, powerful, all important question, which is, for whom does it matter that you elevate these areas of your life? Of course, it matters to you, but I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret that, you know, this sounds weird as I say it, but Elevate 2025 is not for you. As a man who's listening to this, it's actually not for you. Now, I say that tongue in cheek because it has to be for you, but this program is for the people in your life that you care about most: your partner, your parents, your kids, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your colleagues, your like, for whom does it matter? You don't just want to elevate an aspect of your life for you. You're trying to elevate that aspect of your life because you know the ripple effect that that's going to have on your family and your community are untold in the ways that it could really impact ongoingly your life, not just your life, but the people that you care about most. So the second promise is you're going to get really clear about what's at stake for you, because if you don't elevate this area of your life this year, those are the people that bear the brunt of the consequences of you not taking action this year.
Yeah.
Shall we dive into the third?
Go for it.
Our third promise is that we will, you know, I share the story a lot. Stephen Pressfield, the author of the War of Art, not to be confused with the Art of War by Lao Tzu, but the War of Art is, Stephen Pressfield writes in this book that the only thing that stands in the way of where you are today and where you want to be in the future is only one thing, and that is your resistance. Now, for some men, at the core of his resistance is cynicism or loneliness, or, you know, what are the other things? Being disoriented and powerless,
Isolating,
isolating.
numbing out.
Every man is doing something that is at the core of his resistance. And if we don't help you deal with what's holding you back, you can't elevate your life. And so we're committed that be the case. And then our final promise to you is that we as a group of men our promise to you is that we are going to ensure that you step into your greatness over the next year.
There's a saying in the world of men's work: iron sharpens iron. If you're a man in the world and you are not surrounded by men who are challenging you in respectful ways, challenging you in the ways that really matter to you, then a lot of us men, we either just isolate and again numb out, like Tay said. We engage in what we call the 5 dead ends, like cynicism, numbing out, being disoriented, or we use women. We use our relationships as a place where we go there for challenge unconsciously. We turn our partners into the people who have to hold us accountable. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. your fucking partner doesn't want to be the one holding you accountable.
Mm.
Not for a goddamn second. Apologize for all my language, but I'm saying it for emphasis. I had to learn this the hard way because I did that. That's what I did. I made my partners unconsciously
Yeah.
responsible to hold me accountable. Accountable to what? Accountable to me being the man I was born to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we don't have other men holding us accountable, again, not in the ways that men would traditionally hold each other
That's
accountable
right.
to like bullshit measures of manhood. Like the old accountability was how many women have you had sex with? Or how many I don't know, how much money did you make last
Yeah.
month?
Yeah.
That's not the kind of accountability we're talking about, right? The kind of accountability we're talking about is how authentic are you being
Yeah.
in your relationship? How
What's the
true
what's what's the last difficult conversation that you had that you were willing to have with your partner or with your son and daughter or mother or father or colleague? Like helping lean into the most difficult and most important conversations of our lives as men.
right? And in what ways are you lying to yourself about your life right now? I mean, that's the kind of accountability that we're talking about. In what ways are you not taking ownership of your part in whatever breakdown you're experiencing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is what working alongside, I like to use this language a lot because it speaks to me, but trustable men.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean perfect men. It doesn't mean we're all flawed and we're all fucked up in our own way. But, there's just magic that unfolds when men come together to do this
Yeah.
kind of work that we cannot do with women. I worked with women in my past a lot. I've worked with female coaches, therapists, workshop facilitators, teachers, and I'm so grateful for them. And I would not change a thing, and I would do it all over again. And um, I believe every man to truly step into his mastery as a man at some point has to work with other men.
Yeah.
Because that all of the shadows, the things that we don't want to face about ourselves, uh it's through other men who know the experience of being a man. No woman knows the experience of being a man,
Yeah.
not one. So it's only other men that can reveal things to ourselves in a way that helps us truly step into our mastery.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm struck in this moment, Bryan, by that thank you note that I won't name names here, but um
The one that we just got,
yeah,
or uh,
from during the retreat.
oh, the actual card.
Yeah.
Oh, we have permission to share it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I share. Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, well, I'll actually okay, great. Then I'll read it.
Sure.
It says, "Dear Bryan and Tate, thank you doesn't begin to come close to what I'd like to convey to you both.
By the way, who's this from?
This is from the wife
Yeah.
of a guy who went through our year-long program, Elevate 22.
Who was a successful lawyer, has his own practice,
Yeah,
was crushing it in life, had
yeah,
money, homes, vacation home, two beautiful children, wife. Okay, keep
yeah.
going. Sorry.
So the two of you and the space you provide has been exactly what Jeff needed to break free from the many walls he had built around his own heart. It has been astonishing to bear witness to this transformation. Somehow you've created an environment where men are challenged, and I'm sure most of the men you work with feel deeply triggered by this. Yet, at least in Jeff's case, they feel safe enough to not run away. It's nothing short of miraculous. If you ever doubt that the work you are doing is enough, know this: for me and our two daughters, and mainly for Jeff, it is the most meaningful and transformative work that there could possibly be. Through you two, for the first time, we have a husband and father who has gained his beautiful, tender heart, not only to love us well every day, but to break free of the bondage of old patterns. There is nothing more important. I thank and love you both."
Yeah. Tate, honestly, how is it easy or hard for you to take that in?
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah,
It's so hard, but I
I know.
remember reading it and tear. That was a
Yeah,
note that in the moment
yeah,
it pierced the
yeah,
veil for
yeah,
me
yeah,
and really touched my heart because I look, Jeff is just this
yeah,
beautiful, big-hearted,
yeah,
incredible man that
yeah.
I don't know if any guy I've had to chase down more
That's right.
to join the program,
Right.
and he has been
Yeah,
all in.
yeah,
I who was it that we were having a conversation with? It was it Warren Farrell or Owen Marcus maybe, he was talking about how men generally come kicking and screaming into men's work.
yeah.
It's like the last ditch effort sometimes, and
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that way and it's not that way for all men, but for
yeah,
some men it is.
yeah,
But then as soon as they get the freedom
yeah,
that happens as a result of it, they
yeah,
become the biggest champions. And in this case, his wife became one of the
yeah,
biggest champions. And
yeah,
it touches my heart because I know that around that question, for whom does it matter that you're here?
yeah,
That is if you're a woman listening to this program and there's a tap on the shoulder moment that would serve your husband or your boyfriend or the person that you love, then I just would be so grateful for you to tap them on the shoulder. And if you're a man, just look around at the people that you love the most and know that there is something at stake for you if you take action, and there is something at stake if you don't.
and if you choose to go all in with us, we go all in with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a profound experience, and man, it's so much fun also to just
Yeah.
meet in person and have that 5 days in the
Yeah.
mountains together. Oh, it's such magic.
Well, it sets guys up because before we end the
Yeah,
year, each year,
yeah,
they have already identified the next time that as a group of men. Like I didn't have a men's group when I started this work in
mhm,
2020, when we launched in
mhm,
2020 for the first year
mhm,
in 2021. And
mhm,
so in 2021, that group became my men's group. I mean, we
yeah,
met this morning and we talked about grief because
mhm,
one of the guys in the group lost his sister to
yeah,
suicide.
yeah,
And so it's like we're still meeting. It's 2025, 4 years later. Like this is not meant to just set you up for
yeah,
2025. This
yeah,
is designed to help you have a group of men that you get to go live life with
mm.
for as long as you all decide to do the work.
Yeah, warms my heart, man, and for me too, it's hard to take in,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to really celebrate
Yeah.
the ripple effects, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
So, listen, if you're at all intrigued, you're at the threshold moment, go to bryanreeves.com/elevate, Bryan with a Y, Reeves.com/elevate. Take a look. If it intrigues you, apply, have a call, and we'll see.
Yeah,
What I guess what I want to do is just promise to you that on that call we will show you exactly how we can deliver on those four promises that I gave to you. You'll identify the areas of your life that you want to elevate. You're going to identify who's going to be impacted. The third promise, what did we say our
the
promise was?
resistance, address the
Yep,
resistance.
we're going to help you address the resistance, and that we're going to help you step into your greatness. We're going to talk to you how we design this program and get better each and every year at delivering on those things.
bryanreeves.com/elevate. I very much hope, to the man that this speaks to, I want you to know I'm so excited to dive in with you.
Yeah,
Truly,
yeah,
we're gonna
no
have an
doubt,
amazing adventure together.
no doubt.
All right. Thanks y'all for listening.